everyone, Brienne is here, and I am here to talk to you guys about one of my favorite shows being rebooted by HBO Max, and that is Gossip Girl. Anyone who knows me knows that I absolutely love the original Gossip Girl series. I actually read the books before I watched the TV show when it came out in 2007. I was 12 years old, I was in the 7th grade, I was so excited, and it went off my senior year of high school, like right when I started my senior year. It was like towards the end of 2012. And it's been almost a decade since the show's been off, and I was really excited when they announced that they were going to be rebooting this with all new characters, new storylines, still the same universe of Gossip Girl, obviously, but I was really excited to see where they were going to take this, considering they didn't have a book series or anything to base it off of. It was just going to be based off of, I guess, everyday popular culture and coming up with brand new characters and storylines that hopefully we would love. Now, I always knew I was going to give it a chance. When I saw that they were going to reboot it, I never thought, dang, they need to leave our shows alone. I never thought any of that. I was like, I'm excited for this. Cannot wait. July 2021. Hurry on up so that I can watch the show. And I have to say that I've been loving it so far. So this video is going to have a little bit of spoilers because I'm not only going to talk about some of the discourse revolving this new reboot and what people are talking about it and how they're feeling about it, but I'm also going to be talking about the first 3 episodes that have already premiered. I decided to do 2 videos in one because I thought that it was all together. And since I've already watched 3 episodes, I thought that I could give a little bit of insight of what I'm loving about it and the characters and the plot lines and what I hope to see for the future. And then every week, I think I've decided that I'm going to start doing like some reviews of the show since I loved it so much, and to kind of have that discourse on here and give you guys a little bit more content and be able to talk about a show that I absolutely loved growing up. And who knows, I may even do a little video talking about my favorite characters and plot lines in the original show. So just to get down to it, like I said, I am an original Gossip Girl stan. I loved it so much. I was never really skeptical about the show coming out, like being rebooted, because I figured that it was just going to be good anyway. It's such a good series, and I think that you could do so much with it that I wasn't worried about them ruining it or anything. I wasn't. Now, a lot of people were. Some people are just skeptical and they're just really negative people and want something to complain about. I've never really had that for many shows that I've seen being rebooted. I'll be like, I don't know if I'll watch it, but I'm never really like, oh my God, like they're gonna ruin it, because I don't know. I have to give it a chance first. I can't be like, oh, there have been some shows that I thought had very dumb, like the premise of the show was just kind of stupid, and then I watched the show and I fell in love with it. So I was like, I have to at least give it a chance, and I knew I was going to give it a chance. I'm not ask people, they'd be like, I don't know, because I like the original. If you love the original, then like, why not give it a chance? Like, rich culture has gotten so much more interesting. It truly has, especially with like social media and stuff and like influencers. It has gotten so much more interesting. But a lot of the discourse, honestly, for me, has made me kind of sad. And I'm not shocked though, because in the society that we live in, a lot of people like to think that we're like in a post-racial society. Don't know how they get that, considering what all happened last year in 2020 with the whole Black Lives Matter, police brutality still being being a thing, seeing these so-called Karens and their racist attacks towards Black people literally just living and breathing and not bothering anybody. So I'm not shocked by that. I'm not. We had a president that we don't even want to say his name now, because he was that much of a white supremacist and did all of these terrible things and just said some of the most vile stuff out of the side of his neck, and allowed neo-Nazis and white supremacy to run rampant and have hate crimes and stuff done. And it was just like, no, we don't care. So I'm not really shocked, like we're in America. So, and given our society and how America has risen up, I'm not shocked by the rhetoric that we're having, but I do want to talk about it because I do think that it is extremely harmful when it comes to media and characters that we see within media, especially Black characters within media. I want to do a video talking about some of the tropes that Black people have and the kind of more disappointing and the ones that I think are harmful to how people see Black people. I'm going to do that video a little bit later, and for the sake of time, I'll just kind of run through a little bit. When I see a lot of especially Black female characters, I feel like they're mostly negative. I no longer want to see the mammy caricature. I no longer want to see this like over-sexualized Jezebel caricature. I no longer want to see this welfare queen and baby mama caricature. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see people on drugs. I don't want to see people in gangs. I don't want to see people robbing stuff. I don't want to see people getting shot. I want to see people just living their lives, being glamorous, being rich, not caring about everything. I want to see those. I want to see the characters that white people get to see so freely and have all the time, and that it be okay. I don't want to see any of this negative stuff anymore. And I have to say, when I saw the new Gossip Girl, everyone's like, oh, it's so much forced diversity. I'm like, pump your brakes. We have three black characters, one of whom is written as a biracial person. I think two of the actresses in the show are actually biracial. So honestly, there's no one in it there's no dark skin representation. There's no one that has any overt, African features or black features. I'm not seeing anything in this show that is giving like, oh my God, it's like so overtly woke. And and people found the word woke and they ran with it like so many other things. And you don't know what you're talking about. Just because there's 3 black characters out of the, 6, 7 main characters I just don't know what you want, and it's extremely detrimental when I see other black creators and people jump on YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and make these ridiculous videos about how I was black and I was like the only black person and I was on scholarship. Okay, good for you. And what do you want me to do about that? I'm happy that you were able to go to an elite school, get an education. No one is denying the fact that these places are predominantly white. No one is saying, there are predominantly white spaces, yes, because of generational wealth and the way that this country was built. I understand that, but we're not going to sit here and act like there are not rich black people who are existing, not just in the United States, but in New York City, which is a cultural hub for all types of nationalities, ethnicities, races, all of whom have rich people, not just people who have been athletes or actors, singers, people in the entertainment industry like models, chefs, people who have come from generational wealth of black people who has built things up to like real estate and banking. There are rich black people. There are rich Hispanic people. There are rich Asian people. There are rich of all types of people, no matter where you come from or where you go. So I don't like it when I hear people say, oh, well, the original show was all white people. Yes, they were white because they were based off of a book series that described certain people and they made a TV show out of it. This show is not based off of anything that has to do with that book series other than the fact that there is a Gossip Girl. And they've even changed that because it's not like a blog or like a text thing. It's an Instagram. And they have this Instagram and they post things because that is how social media works now in 2021. It's crazy to me that when I see black people thriving and living and having these glamorized versions of them, these characters who I think are very good for representation and how society views minoritized groups, not just in this country, but all over the world. I think that it is important to have people of color in these spaces and having characters that show them in a different light that is positive. Because I am sick of the only white stories being told. And in fact, if you have such a problem with seeing black rich people on Gossip Girl, why don't you just flip to another channel and watch some of the other 11,000 TV shows that are about rich white people? Why don't you go watch one of those since this is bothering you so much, since you can't fathom in your little tiny pea brain that black people or anyone else could possibly be rich and be old money or new money. Who gives a crap? If you're rich, you're rich. I don't care if you got it last week or if you got it, 500 years ago. I really don't care. You're rich and you can maneuver through life and be rich and do rich people things and be privileged as a rich person. And that's just a TV show. It's also fake. It's not real. These aren't real people. They're characters. And if you can't get past that, then there's something severely wrong with you. No one is going to look at Gossip Girl and be like, well, that, when I go to school, then black people are going to be ruling the school. You live in the middle of Podunk, Wisconsin. There are not a lot of black people over there. So for you to say you're going to an amazing school and you are like, this is tainting it and people are going to have unrealistic expectations. What's so unrealistic about it? What is so unreal? Yes, there are black scholarship kids. There are white scholarship kids. Did you watch the original series? Dan Humphrey and his sister Jenny were on scholarship even though they still had money. I need people to stop with the blatant anti-blackness and get out, like, just get over it, because it's nonsensical at this point for you to sit here and tout this ridiculous, just this ridiculous agenda as things are too woke and they're forcing diversity on you. It's a show about New York City. Let me tell you something that was unrealistic. You watched that terrible show that was not funny, that went on for 10 years, God knows how, Friends, that didn't have no black people. They're in the middle of New York, going to Central Park, doing all this stuff, and you see maybe one black character the entire time. Get out of it, miss me with that. That's absolutely crazy. That makes no sense to me. This shows with Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Cubans, black people that have gone all over the diaspora, from the Caribbean, from Haiti, from Jamaica, regular African Americans who are descendants from, the slave trade. You have immigrants from Nigeria, Kenya, all these places. You have all these people, Asian people who have come from China, from Japan, from Korea. You have so much rich culture in these different neighborhoods, in these boroughs and communities. And you're going to sit here and tell me that having 3 black characters, a Hispanic character, and and a Polynesian character is all of a sudden so forced diversity? Are you kidding me? I see so many white background characters in that show. You have just say you're racist and move on, because this rhetoric that there can't be any black people in New York going to an elite school that aren't on scholarship is so detrimental, and it says a lot about how you view black people and people of color in this country. And if that is if you watch that show and the first thing you see is, oh, well, there's too many black people, that's unrealistic, and they're rich, they're not on scholarship, because only black people and only minorities are on scholarship, there's no way that they could possibly afford that. There's no way that they could possibly have any money. Like, that's so unrealistic. There's only rich white people. And then for the people of color and these other minorities to chime in on that BS and say, they're right, because I was on scholarship. Okay, and? Sorry, you're poor. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. But just because you're poor doesn't mean that every other black person is poor. There are rich black people. You know who lives in New York? Beyonce. You think Blue Ivy is going to PS 182 in the middle of the Bronx in a poor school? No, she's going to a school in Manhattan somewhere, probably. I don't really know where they live within New York, but she's probably going to a nice school, something like what it would be in Gossip Girl. Family, famous musicians, billion-dollar heiress, and you're gonna sit here and tell me that she doesn't exist? Come on. It's ridiculous at this point. This rhetoric is crazy. They're like, oh, it's fake wokeness. And there's one guy, he's giving out water bottles to protesters. Like I said, did you sleep through all of 2020 when people were out in the streets protesting? Rich, poor, black, white, Hispanic, Native, whoever it was. They were out there protesting and talking about police brutality and a lot of the issues that we're facing within this country that have been swept under the rug for years, while we sit here and act like we're in some sort of post-racial society, as if racism isn't happening, as if we aren't getting videos of these white women and being Karens when they're just being racist and upholding white supremacy and using their white tears to get more people of color in jail because they want to weaponize themselves and make themselves seem like the victim when they've escalated situations. We're not going to sit here and talk like we didn't just see that white woman lay on the floor and wobble around like a worm on the floor having a seizure because she was upset because she tried to put her hands on a black woman, got recorded, and when her white tears weren't working, she decided, oh my God, I'm just gonna go flop around like a dead fish on the floor. That's what she decided to do and embarrassed herself. And even after all of that, the police still sat there and took her side, even though she was acting a whole fool and she wasn't arrested. Please miss me with it. Just miss me with it. Argue with your mother and not me, because I'm not the one. I'm tired of it. I don't want to see any more stereotypical caricatures of black people in media. And if I have a TV show where I can see rich people doing rich people things and they just so happen to be black, because then again, these people aren't real, so it doesn't matter who plays them. It's crazy to me. Get over yourself, get over your racism, and get out of your head whatever you've been programmed to think, that whatever you think, what box that minorities are supposed to fit into in this country. Forget it. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I don't want to have the conversation because we shouldn't have to have the conversation. We shouldn't. Just because you see black people on a TV show is not forced diversity. It's just black people on TV because black people exist. So, like I said, if you don't want to watch it, go watch something else. Now, I have to say that, people are like, oh, it's old money versus new money. I don't think you know what that means, because, and even if that is true, like, just because you're rich and you're doing rich people things, it doesn't have anything to do with so-called new money versus old money. And honestly, no one cares about new money versus old money. If you're rich, you're rich. Do you think people aren't, like, you know, cozying up to and, you know, bumping elbows with Jeff Bezos because he's so-called new money? He's the richest man in the world. He's worth, what, almost like $200 billion? He's worth like $200 billion. Just, they're having a billionaire, like, race to space with all these people who are new money. And you're going to sit here and talk about, oh, they're not, you know, it's not giving me, because it's not Hamptons. We're 3 episodes in. It's not summer vacation. They're not vacationing in the Hamptons yet. Like, I don't know. You know, they are wearing designer couture clothes, most of which is ready to wear. You would know that if you followed fashion. You would know. I'm so tired of people and this ridiculous thing of like, oh, well, they're new money, and the original show was giving me old money, when most of the characters were new money themselves, with parents who were just lawyers and doctors and real estate investors and fashion designers. And you're gonna sit here and tell me that you think that they were old money? Do you even know old money just because they wore a tweed outfit and a turtleneck and some $100 Zara shoes? Oh, you think that that was old money? Because they wore a Ralph Lauren cardigan with some khaki pants and Sperry's, and they're old money? Because they dress like they live in, you know, Connecticut somewhere, then you think that they're old money? You don't know old money or new money by looking at someone. You have no idea. Trust me, I have looked at some of these families. I've seen some of the clothes that the Kennedys and the Vanderbilts and these people wear, and they're wearing the same name brand stuff that most other people are wearing. Miss me with it. Because it's crazy to me when you have someone like Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos and all these people who are so-called new money, who don't dress with flashy designer stuff and dress like regular people, who do wear nice clothes. A lot of actors, rappers, all these people dress that way too. And you somehow seem to think that that's old money because it's an aesthetic. Yeah, you just don't know fashion and you just don't know trends. So miss me with that too. You have, and a lot of people have these like misrepresented concepts of what is new and old money, what it means for people to have any type of money, to be rich, the lifestyle that they wear. Not everything, rich people aren't a monolith. There are some people who are selfish and who dress that way, who don't care, who don't pay taxes, who try to run the world and don't care about anyone else. And then there are some people who are really down to earth, who donate a lot of money, who want to help people, who speak out for the rights of those who are disenfranchised in this country. And I think that that is great. There is not one thing that makes rich people, and honestly, all of them still get to have a level of privilege. A lot more privilege does come with the people who are wealthy and white. That is just true because of this country. But there are people who are black and who are really wealthy who do have a type of privilege, who still speak out. But then people, you know, say, well, this person, and try to hold them up to like some far-fetched example of why, you know, certain people don't have issues. And I'm not saying to do that. I'm not saying that like, you know, that there's no issues and that this is, you know, correct representation. I don't care about that. The show is fiction. It's a fictional school with fictional people in real neighborhoods, but like it's all fiction. So I could care less about trying to make it seem like it's so realistic, because the original show wasn't realistic at all. Granted, maybe it is. I'm not that rich. I don't hang out in those circles. I'm not from New York. I'm from Florida. And everyone from New York wants to come live in Florida. So I've had some experiences with some people from New York, and even they say that some of the stuff is far-fetched and isn't real. So you got to get over it. I'm going to get a little bit into the plot lines of the show now. I love the characters. My favorite character is Monet because she's just an iconic queen. I could tell when they first released the character photos, I was like, I love her. Look at her look. Her tweed outfit in the first episode was giving me everything. I wanted to dress like that when I was 12. Still do today. I love the fashion, love her hair, love everything. I think the overall friend group is really interesting. I think the friend group has a lot more chemistry with each other than the original show did. People are saying that they don't like the acting. Evan Mock, who's like a skateboarder / model, they're like, oh, his acting is so bad. And then I watched the TV show and I'm like, his acting is fine. You act like, people are sitting here acting like Blake Lively was this amazing actress. I'm like, if nepotism couldn't get her foot in the door, her being a blonde-haired white woman maybe would have helped her for her look, but she is not some great actress. We're not going to sit here and act like she was. The best actress on that show was Leighton Meester, definitely, who played Blair, and I think that Penn Badgley was probably like like coming up second when it came to acting. I don't think anybody in that show was giving anything that was Emmy or Oscar worthy. So no, I don't think that, you know, we have anything that's like too crazy to like, you know, to compare it to, because the acting just wasn't necessarily there. It was very monotone from some people. It was very much like, oh, you know, just whatever, I'm saying lines. And it was just that. It was a cultural, like the TV show itself was almost like a cultural thing, in the sense of like, it was like TV culture. It was a part of the popular culture that was going on, so it played well into that. And it was overly dramatic for no reason, giving you almost like what soap operas are like. And that was that. I don't think the acting in the show is anything crazy. I don't think that the fashion in the show is anything like, oh my God. Now I will say, and this does have a little bit of spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled for the show and you just want to click off, then feel free to do that. I don't like that they have made the two sisters, I don't like that they've kind of like pinned them against each other, in the sense of you have Julian, who Julian's mom left her and her dad to go with Zoya's dad, and then like the mom was with her. You know, I'm glad that they were friends like in the beginning. I don't like the fact that Julian's boyfriend Obi broke up with her because he was like, oh, I like these things and I like to volunteer, and I, you know, he's that type of person, but he's still very rich. And he breaks up with Julian because she's very much like influencer culture, doesn't like the way that she does things, and he's like, she lost herself and he doesn't like the person that she's become. And then he goes and he dates Zoya, who's her half sister, who he just met, who's a freshman. I find that to be extremely ridiculous. And the fact that the character Zoya, why I don't like her and Obi, is because of this. She wants to act like she's better than everyone because she's not super rich. She likes to act like she's better than everyone because she just got there, and because she's an artist, and because she's on scholarship. She wants to act like she's better than everyone and say that she doesn't like the drama, and that she doesn't want to be a part of the drama. When your sister, the girl that you've known and been in contact with for years, her boyfriend breaks up with her, and you're going to go date her boyfriend, be kissing in public, doing all this stuff, and she's just not supposed to be mad. The crazy thing is she never even asked her sister if she was okay with it. She just started dating the guy. And Julian is a bigger person than me, because I have had people that I have liked and my friends have gone and dated that person, and I'm just like, no, that's terrible. And I didn't even date the person, but it was just like, I couldn't imagine dating somebody and then like my sister or half sister or friend wanted to date that person, literally fight. Like, it's like you broke up with me and then you turn around and ask the other person out literally 2 seconds later. Like, I'm not even joking. And we're supposed to just sit there like we're okay with that. And you want to sit and you don't want any drama? That's the most dramatic thing that you can do. And she Zoya puts herself in these ridiculous situations, and then she wonders why people talk about her. Because you're a terrible person. You are terrible. How about you focus on your studies and making sure you don't lose your dang scholarship, listen to your dad, and you guys, you know, being shifty and trying to stay in this apartment that you're not paying for, and just sit here and realize that what you did was wrong. And Julian is a way better person than me, and then when she seeks revenge or does anything, it's almost like she's trying to be made out like she's a bad person, as if you didn't break her heart and then date her sister. It's absolutely crazy to me. Like, it's absolutely crazy. They already told us who Gossip Girl was, and that Gossip Girl is the teachers. I think the premise of it is really interesting, that they're using it to control the students. And they're like, oh, I don't like that. That's unrealistic. But it's true. You have these influencers now. You have these parents who are even more helicopter parents, who I think have gotten worse. If you give these rich kids a bad grade, or I saw it in public school, where like these parents would be like lawyers or whatever, and they would like threaten to sue or try to threaten to get someone fired, or they know someone in the commission or the school board, and you know, you lose your job because you gave them a fair grade. Heck, it happens with athletes and stuff. When they want their star athlete to play at the game and you give them a bad grade, they're like, you need to change it, you're going to be fired, or you need to give them easier work. Like, it's stuff like that happens. And then you have Gossip Girl that is putting out all this information, and it kind of keeps them in line because they don't want anything negative to happen to them, because there is this influencer culture and these people don't want anything bad going out about them. So it makes sense. I don't think that it's going to keep up. They have pinned it on someone gets fired, and you know, I don't necessarily think that was good. It does kind of villainize it and kind of gives you like these villains within the show. I really like it. I do like Evan Mock's character. I think it's like Aki is his name. I think it's Aki or Aki something. And he's dating the blonde girl Audrey, and they have some type of love triangle going on with Max, who's extremely bisexual. He has 2 gay dads, and there was a whole thing about one of the dads was cheating on the other one because one of the dads was too flamboyant and it was kind of living his truth. He didn't like that. Max is trying to sleep with one of the gay teachers, and then he made out with Aki, and then he slept with Audrey because her mom's a drunk and is upset because her fashion line is done. And it's just this whole thing. Julian's dad hates Zoya's dad for good reason, because, you know, you took this man's wife. And so he doesn't like it. What's his name? He's a musician. Julian's dad, you know, he pays money to give art scholarships, and Julian kind of made it so that Zoya got the scholarship. Something happened at her old school. Gossip Girl knows about it. They haven't told us yet. We want to know. Luna and Monet really help Julian with her influence, you know, and her getting like sponsored brand deals and doing all this stuff, really living the life of an influencer. Monet is really giving me almost like manager, and like she wants to be that person. I want them to dive more into her storyline. Like I said, Luna, she is a transgender character. I really like that it's not her. I don't know if she's a transgender character though, because I've been watching it and they haven't mentioned it, but I did see an article that said that the actress was transgender. So I don't know. But even if she is transgender, and like how they have like bisexual characters and gay characters on the show, I like that it's not their whole personality. Like there's other stuff going on. Too much when they have LGBTQ plus representation in TV shows, I feel like they make their entire personality the fact that they're like gay or lesbian or whatever. And I like that it's like, okay, you are and you're doing things, but like it's just kind of like no one talks about it. It's just like, oh yeah, you're bisexual, okay, whatever. Oh, you hooked up with that person, okay, it's whatever. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that it's not like this overt thing of like, okay, I'm gay, we're gonna harp on the fact that you're gay for like every single episode. Your entire plot line is dealing with that, as if there aren't gay people in real life. Like, I think that we've gotten past that at this point, and because it is like a Gen Z based show, although like it is revolving around people who are Gen Z, I think that it's really interesting that they do that, and I think it goes to show the cultural norms and how it has evolved over time, and how Gen Z, you know, even though people talk about it's so woke, that they are more of a liberal generation when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to, you know, talking about racism and different issues that you have within society. They are very much those people. They're very much surrounded by social media, having social media pretty much their entire lives. Whereas like someone like me, their first phone was a Firefly phone that you couldn't text or do anything on it, or you had the like Motorola Razor, and you're like paying for minutes. You know, remember when you couldn't even, it would cost you $30 because you clicked on the internet by accident. You know, it's so different now. And I think that the issue that some people are having is they're not understanding that like life in 2007 and 2012 and life almost a decade later in 2021 is completely different. And once you understand that and get past that, I understand there's this nostalgic value that you have to it. You know, you want to think about these characters that you love so much and that you may have related to, but now we have a different generation. We have a brand new show and characters, and I want to be able to have that, you know, relationship, and to be able to find representation and to be able to connect with these characters. And I think that we're getting that, because there are some messy people like Obi and Zoya out there. There are some messy people like Max, Audrey, and Aki. There are people who go through things like Julian and things where, you know, with a parent leaving or something happening and having abandonment issues. These things happen. And so I think as the story progresses and as the characters and their plot lines progress, I really think that the show is going to do very well. I'm excited to see what happens next week. Like I said, I think the acting is pretty decent compared to the original. Honestly, I don't think that very many actors give me like strong acting skills. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to. Like I said, it is a high school show that does have some sexual situations. And like I said in my previous video, and I talked about the kind of controversial things about this show. I knew it was going to be like that because it is an HBO Max show. It's not as bad as Euphoria or that Generation show that I still haven't finished, but it's a teen show, and I feel like adults are watching it, especially people who grew up with the original. Like I said, I'm 26, so it definitely is like more of an adult show. There are people who are teenagers who are watching it. I do think that, you know, kids have more access to like HBO and stuff than I did when I was, you know, growing up, and it's not on regular cable, so they can get away with doing a lot more with like nudity and stuff, and some of it can be kind of like shocking to you. I'm still getting used to a lot of that. I feel like a lot of stuff that they put on TV now, and with characters who are minors and characters who are in high school in these situations, I understand that some people did have these experiences in high school. I was not one of those people, and most of my friend group was not those people. So I understand that it happens, but I still do think that it's a lot. Like I said, it's not as bad as Euphoria and the Generation show. But there still is that little bit of like an issue of the fact that you write these characters as minors and you're putting minors in these like intense sexual situations, and that is supposed to be like what it's revolving around. And I find that to be really kind of weird that you're like watching a show and this is supposed to be like a 15 or 16-year-old doing this. But I guess that's just the direction that we're going with TV at this point. I think it's a little bit controversial and it is a little bit uncomfortable, but you know, if that's what they're doing, then that's what they're doing. I can't do much about that. But yeah, I'm really excited about the show. I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm excited to see what seasons to come. The discourse on it is still kind of negative because people aren't giving it a chance, but there are some people who are watching it who are realizing that it's actually really, really good. And I like that some people are giving it a chance to understanding it. There's always going to be those people watching that are like, it's not good, it's good. I'm like, you came in there with a negative attitude, you weren't going to like it either way. It could have been the star-studded performance, Emmy-worthy, and it could have been absolutely amazing with the best storyline ever, and people are like, whatever. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed the first 3 episodes. I had an amazing time talking about this. Like I said, I am a Gossip Girl stan, so we'll see what's to come. And I will be back next week with a review of episode 4 of this new Gossip Girl reboot. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.